How's it going, everyone? This is Ryan Muska from the Giordano Team at Garden State Mortgage. For today's guest, we have Kham Rodriguez. She's from the Sothebys office in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. She has been in the industry for about 8 years. She had a phenomenal 2025, and she is running into 2026. So thank you so much for being on the podcast,
Thank you
Kham.
for having me, Ryan.
Of course, of course. So we've known each other for a little bit, and I actually don't ever think I ever asked you how you got into this industry. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I actually ended up getting my bachelor's in psychology. I graduated, wasn't really sure what to do or what next step to take. And my dad mentioned, well, I picture you being a business owner. I said, really? Okay. He had just purchased his second home and he thought, well, why don't you look into real estate? I never thought about it. I told him I wasn't really interested in opening doors for people. And then I started doing my own research. And as soon as I started doing research, I saw the possibilities are endless. It's also very rewarding. You're assisting people in transitioning from different chapters in their life. And that's how I pretty much got started. And I've been here ever since.
That's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting. So your background in psychology that helps you deal with the woes of the real estate
Yeah,
industry.
it's applied psychology. I use it every day. So I think I'm exercising my degree.
With your clients, who do you typically see yourself working with? Is it a wide spectrum of clients? Is it a specific demographic? What are you thinking?
It's a wide spectrum. I would say what started off as, let's say, your first time home buyer, which they have a special place in my heart,
Mhm.
then end up becoming first time home sellers and
Okay.
investors. So I think just guiding them depending on what stage they're in.
Okay, I think that's a great transition. So you mentioned first-time homebuyers, first-time sellers, and then first-time investors.
Yeah, and I've
So
seen that even just throughout my 8 years where I helped a first-time home buyer and then 3 years later they're selling the property. They're now buying their other property and now they want to jump into an investment property. So
yeah, definitely see that a lot with clients. So when you're starting to talk with, let's just go in order. So first-time homebuyer, what do you find are like their concerns, their nerves? How are you dealing with a first-time homebuyer?
yeah, so I think there's a lot of information out there and at the end of the day, home buyers want to feel that they're being supported and given the right information, right? So I always try to make sure that my buyers feel supported, always transparent, and always provide the knowledge that I know they need in that stage.
Okay. And what does like your transparency or the knowledge sort of look like?
Yeah,
Like what's an example?
sure. It can be as practical as walking into a home inspection and we're going through the whole home inspection and there's just a number of items there that are actually concerning. And there have been cases where we've walked out. I've told them, I don't think this is a good investment. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I want to make sure that everyone is treated the same way I expect to be treated.
Okay. And you had mentioned like an investment. So even in your mind, when you're working with first-time home buyers, you're also trying to educate them on, hey, this isn't just a home you're buying, it's an asset, it's an investment. So do you find that that is an easy way to sort of discuss the situation to sort of remove some of the emotion, or do you find that to be a little bit more difficult?
It does help. I think it's really educating people and reminding people why they're investing into real estate. Um, a lot of people also get caught up in just the small details, I would say. And in the grand scheme of things, you're building something for yourself instead of just continuously renting and throwing money away.
Yes.
So I think just reminding them why they started this process to begin with.
Yeah. No, definitely. And then, so a first-time home buyer, are they typically getting like the dream house, or is it more of a stepping stone?
It's baby steps, as
Baby
Olivia Dean
steps.
says. Baby steps. Yeah, for sure. I think, again, a lot of people have this, let's say, vision board of what
Okay.
they want their property to look like, and this is my dream home. This is what I'm saving for. However, it really is a stepping stone to get into that property that you actually envision. So your first home is going to be probably a condo, or maybe it's a fixer upper. Or actually, I don't really recommend fixer uppers for first time home buyers, but maybe it needs some work,
Hmm.
right? But the point is, now because you have that property, it appreciates in value. That equity, you can now use it to buy something else, something that's more fitting to what you're looking for. But for example, I had buyers that bought in 2022, 2023, and it
Hmm.
wasn't their dream home. It was just maybe a Cape Cod or $500,000 home,
Hmm.
and they let it appreciate. 2, 3 years later, they were able to either sell it or cash out, refinance, and now they're moving on to a better property. And now they, if they have kids, now they have better space for their kids, so on and so
Hmm.
forth. Rather than just, let's say, not purchasing, because now we have, for example, buyer B who didn't want to execute two
Hmm.
or 3 years ago. They're still saving for the dream home, but guess what? Appreciation.
Yeah. That house that, let's say it's that starter home was 500 a year 2 years ago. Now it's 550 or even
More.
higher.
It's probably
Yeah.
like 650, 700.
Yeah.
So it's like you're constantly chasing the market instead of
Yeah.
just leveraging. So you have two types of people. You have the people that just take advantage of opportunity,
Hmm.
right? And see the bigger picture. And then you have the people that are so fixated on just one way of doing things. And I'm not saying that it's not possible, but it's a lot more difficult.
Hmm. No, the at least in New Jersey, the market is strong. It is
Yeah,
strong.
it's a strong market for sure.
Yeah, and it's always you always got to emphasize that. Hey, like I'm sure you're talking about this a lot with your first-time home buyers. It doesn't have to be a home run or a dream on your first one, but
Right.
it's definitely that stepping stone.
Yeah, and I think it's also just a home is what you make it. I know it sounds very cliche and niche, but you want a property that's able to support your needs and your lifestyle at this moment,
Hmm.
right? So as long as it checks off most of those boxes, it's a good investment,
Hmm.
right? And then you're thinking long term. You can
Exactly.
2, 3 years from now, this is not my end all be all.
Hmm.
I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to take advantage of this property to get into the next one.
Hmm.
So,
That's a good perspective.
yeah.
So now they bought that first home with you.
Hmm.
Okay, 2, 3 years have passed, and now they come back to you, Cam. I want to sell my property, but I have no idea what that takes. So what's your conversation with the first time sellers?
Yeah. So it's really about preparation. And maybe 2, 3 years ago during COVID, actually, no, it's been more. It's been 5 years. Time is
5 years,
flying.
jeez.
Time is
Oh my
flying.
gosh.
Yeah, it's nuts. 5 years ago, you put it on the market today, you already have a line out the door,
Mm.
right? You have multiple offers, sight unseen. Nowadays, we're seeing a mix of both. So it's being able to guide the seller in the right direction because you have certain pockets where homes are staying on the market a little bit longer,
Hmm.
right? And that's just the
Yeah.
reality. And then you do have some other markets where it's a bit more aggressive. You have a lot more buyer demand, right? Maybe it's a school system or it's just inventory is really low there.
Yeah.
Um, so again, I think the same amount of preparation goes into every listing, regardless of whether there's a high buyer demand or not. And that ultimately comes down to them understanding, okay, these are repairs that we need to make prior to putting it on the market. We want to make sure that it shows nicely. Do we need staging? Do we need to paint? A lot of people do their repairs for themselves and their own taste,
Hmm.
right? So you need a second pair of eyes, and that's where I come in, and I'll let you know, hey, I know you really love this yellow paint. However, what is really selling right now are more of the neutral tones. So I think
Mm.
we should go that route, and it'll photograph very nicely.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So you emphasize like the marketing of the home and just making sure that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Marketing the home, and I also go over their net proceeds and what would everything look like post closing, right? Because just we want to take into account, okay, this is how much it'll go for. How much do you owe on your home right now? After commissions, after fees, after your realty transfer fee, which is 1% of the purchase price, what are you really left with? And then, okay, what are you going to do with those net proceeds? Are you looking to purchase another home, which is most likely the case? Okay, so this is what we need to use as a down payment. Now we need to speak with your preferred lender, and at that point, we'll get you pre approved. So we try to match everything up so that way, when we put the home on the market, we have the buyer, we can already start searching for a home.
Okay. Okay. Smart. So you went from first time home buyer to first time seller. Now they've bought their second home with you, they're comfortable, and now they come back to you to potentially invest. Are you what does your conversation look like with them at that point? As a first time investor, they're coming to you, Kham.
Yeah. Transparency is key. Okay, so I always ask, what is your goal? Is it cash flow? Is it just simply parking your money? Is this your retirement? If that's the case, New Jersey's a great market for that. Appreciation is not going to be an issue here. There's always demand. However, if you're looking for cash flow, I'll outright tell you right now, unless you're putting 40 to 50% down, you're probably not going to see any revenue. And it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on it. So,
Immediately, that is.
immediately,
Yes,
right?
because eventually rents will raise.
Right,
You know,
and
eventually.
that's what people don't understand. There was a time when you were able to purchase a two-family home and you were seeing revenue off of it, right? But that takes time now. It's not that you won't see it eventually, and it comes with just structuring things out, right? Over the course of time, you're going to refinance because rates will drop eventually, right? That lowers your monthly payments. Rental income, well, it will increase as well, especially if you're doing 3 to 5% increases on your current tenants. So, in some shape or form, it'll pan out in the future. If you're looking for something immediate, probably not the best case.
Yeah.
And then that's when I recommend investing out of state.
Okay. So out of state investing, what does that look like? How would someone go to their property if they bought out of state? Like, how does that even work?
Oh, that's a great question. So you'd probably have to get either a property manager or build a team of contractors, plumbers, essential people that you know you will need on a daily basis. And I think that's what it comes down to because I have an investment property out of state.
Okay.
And I was scared to do it because of the distance. It's an hour 45 away. It's not too far, but again, I can't just pick up and go whenever I want. So I got really lucky, I would say. I met some incredible people out there, and I've already had issues with, oh, the chimney or the sewer line, and these things are inevitable. However, I do think that having the right team to support you with that transition is key. And I think that's the biggest concern people have. Well, I can't immediately make it out there. I also have really good tenants, so screening
Yeah.
your tenants.
Yes. Screening the tenants is key. Having a
Yes.
team is key.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And what sort of prompted that decision? So, I think a lot of people they hear about like investing out of state, and I think the truth is we live in a technological age. You don't necessarily need to have access to everything in person.
Yeah.
So you built that team, you invested out of state. What were your fears that I'm sure any first-time investor is going to run into? What were some of those fears that you just had to sort of take that leap and face?
Yeah, well, I think that was one of them. When there's an issue, I think we also tend to be people that are very hands-on. So, but the reality is, let's say if there was an issue, what am I really going to do about it? I'm not a handyman, I'm not a plumber, I'm not an electrician, right? So my presence there is actually not needed, right? I think we just want to know, we want to see it physically. So again, that was one of my main concerns, just not being in close proximity. But as time went by and I started building a team of contractor, plumber, electrician, chimney person, roofing company, before I knew it, everything was getting resolved without me having to be there. And it
Wow.
also helped that the tenants communicate. They communicate very well with me. So I already know if they're reaching out to me, there's an issue.
Yeah.
But they're also very cooperative,
Okay.
right? So whenever access is needed, they provide it. They send me pictures, they send me videos. So again, it really just comes down to having that harmony between the right team and the right tenants.
Hmm.
And then obviously once you start building from there, I think getting a property manager would be needed for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I guess as you accumulate more properties
Hmm.
potentially. Just going back to like why that would cash flow.
Hmm.
And I would anticipate that the reasoning it cash flows is because the price ranges are much lower than
Hmm.
at least where we are in New Jersey.
Right.
You might be able to find a property sub 200 and be able to rent it out somewhere in New Jersey,
Hmm.
but there's $200,000 or less properties all over the country. You just need to
Hmm.
find the right market, right?
Right. I think a big, what is it? A big factor in that too. New Jersey has pretty high property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So that affects your monthly payment.
Yeah.
And in turn, yes, I understand that we also have pretty high rental prices, but the taxes far,
Yeah.
it
And
just
they're always raising them.
exactly. And it's just going up and up. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why that immediate cash flow is a little bit more difficult here, rather than going to another state that has lower property taxes
Mm.
and lower prices, lower rents too, but that margin is actually a lot larger. So you're pocketing a lot of that, which is good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, fascinating stuff, Kim. Definitely interesting how your take on like every property you purchase is an investment, whether it's your first one, second
Mm-hmm.
one, or an actual investment property.
Yeah.
Definitely some great takes. It was lovely having you on. If you would like to contact Cam, she's located out of the Sothebys and Englewood Cliffs, and we will put her information down below. But thank you so much again for coming on the
Thank you for
podcast.
having me.
Of course, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.